and welcome to Success Series. We have a great topic today about owning your engagement. Can you believe this is our first Success Series of 2024? I'm just super excited that you guys are joining us today. My name is Kimberly Broussard, and I'm just one of your hosts, and I have a surprise for you. We have a guest host today. Guest host, would you mind introducing yourself?
Hi, I would love to. My name is Margaret Dunn. I just started with the Learning Performance and Culture Division here at Civil Service in January, and I am actually a Success Series fan, so I'm super excited to be here with you, and I'm looking forward to that autograph afterwards.
I will be doing autographs afterwards. So with Tara. And our wonderful producer. Producer, you want to introduce yourself?
I sure do. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to our 2024 season of Success Series. My name is Tara Gallup. If you're new here, I am so glad that you've joined us. I will be your producer, which means that I will be joining along in the conversation, both with Kim, Margaret, and you. That's right. This is an interactive webinar, so please stick with us in the chat. Anybody that you see on behind the keyboard, you're talking to me, all right? So I would love to hear from you today, and I'm really excited about this topic, Kim.
I am too. You know, when owning your engagement is a topic that's really special to all of us. And, you know, when we were doing a lot of research in regards to engagement, you know, we saw a lot of articles about, you know, how to engage your employees. So from the supervisor's perspective, or how your company can engage you. But we didn't find a lot of articles in regards to, you know, how you can find your own engagement. And so we had to do a lot of research and a lot of digging. And so, you know, I have a question for both of you. You know, why do you think it's important for you to own your own engagement?
Yeah, I think it's super important to own your own engagement. My background is in HR, so I recognize that engagement is really what separates somebody who likes their job and loves their job. It's that additional spark, if you will.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do believe that, you know, owning your engagement does help you find your purpose and you feel fulfilled in your position. What about you, Tara? Why do you think it's important?
I'm with Margaret on this one. And I think if I'm thinking about it, why would you not want to be in a position where you love your job? Why would you not want to be in a position where you are really happy when you're at work? We already spend so much of our lives. We spend, 40 hours a week plus in these jobs. And so I don't know about you, but I would rather spend those 40 hours engaged in doing something that I'm enjoying doing than, you know, just showing up to make a paycheck. What about our audience? Why do you think it's important for us that we stay engaged? You guys share with that in the chat as well. All right. With that, Kim, you had, I think, a skill or a competency that's related to this.
We sure do. So I want to make sure that we're all on the same page in regards to engagement. And so engagement is like the level of enthusiasm and dedication a worker feels towards their job. And we also have a competency or skill, which is a part of our state competencies, and it's foster engagement. And that's the ability to encourage others to invest in their work and the success of the organization. So engagement is really very important to not only us, but to the state as well. So with that being said, you guys, now that we kind of know why engagement is important, I think it's time for us to go to our next segment, which is fact or fiction. And this is where we're going to kind of try to identify, you know, what are some facts and what's not facts about engagement. Tara?
Yeah, we definitely are. So you guys get involved with this one. I'm going to launch a few polls in Zoom, and your job is to determine if each statement is a fact or if it's fiction and where it comes from. So heads up, this came actually from the company Gallup. It's a research company, not Tara Gallup. Sorry, not me today. Gallup. And they issue out a survey every year called the 12 Elements of Engagement. And so we got this from those survey results. And we want to know, where do you guys stand on engagement facts? So I'm going to, launch our very first poll here. Launch. All right. So here's our first one. Margaret and Kim, you guys go ahead and guess with them. Okay.
Okay.
So our first fact, when employees, or I say fact, it might be fiction. So Sorry. When employees understand the mission and purpose of their organization, it fosters a greater sense of connection to their work. What do you guys think? Fact or fiction?
My initial inclination is fact.
Okay. I think that's what we'll go with.
Fact? It is correct. It is a fact. So let me share those results. Correct answer is fact. So, taking the time to learn more about your agency's mission and really the purpose of why we do what we do, it really can help connect us to our own work, all the way down to the smallest task that you guys have in mind. Isn't that crazy?
No, I actually don't think it's crazy. I actually agree with it because I find it for myself that part of my engagement is definitely learning how my position it helps us meet our position, our vision and our mission. And so, it makes me feel like I'm a part of the team, that I have a purpose.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I've got a new one for you, and I think I have to stop sharing this one, launch a new one. Here we go. So our statement number 2, all right?
Okay.
Collaboration with coworkers does not influence the level of employee engagement. Fact or fiction?
Does not.
Collaboration with our coworkers does not influence employee engagement.
I'm going fiction.
Okay.
I'm a big collaborator.
All right, so our hosts have said fiction, and so has our audience. And you guys are correct. So this one is fiction, which means that collaborating with others does actually influence our engagement quite a bit. Why do you think that is?
I have to say, since I'm a big collaborator myself, I can totally see this being fiction, because the collaboration just makes you feel like you're part of a bigger unit. It's kind of a different side of the same coin for that purpose. Like, you understand what you're working towards together.
Mm-hmm. And I also, when I'm working with others, I kind of get my energy off of working with others. So I'm more motivated.
Yeah.
So I can see why that one's fiction as well.
Yeah. All right. Statement number 3. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Audience, let's see what we have here. So we've got opportunities for personal growth have minimal effect on employee engagement levels. Fact or fiction? Opportunities for personal growth have minimal effect on employee engagement levels.
Okay. There's a qualifier for minimal. So, like, do you think they studied it and it was a lower percentage? You want to go with fiction?
Or you think fact?
You
guys are a lot slower than our audience.
I'm going to go with fiction. I may be overthinking.
Okay. All right. We're going to go with fiction.
Okay.
All right. And you guys are right there with our audience. Our audience has said fiction, and you guys are correct. It is fiction, which means that our opportunities for personal and professional growth do have an effect, a pretty large one, on your employee engagement. Personal growth. Why do you think that is? What do you think, Margaret?
I think because if you're developing yourself, then you can see your role continuously evolving. You can see your position in that company, agency growing. So I think that's why it really has an effect on engagement.
Right. And one of the motivators for me is learning new things. I'm, the person who's always asking questions, trying to learn new information. And, it keeps me engaged to, learning new things.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, and I like what Diana threw in there. It's just wisdom as well. The more you are growing your wisdom and your knowledge, the more likely that, you want to stay engaged to the work that you're actually doing because you're developing. I like that. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go to our fact or fiction statement number 4.
Okay.
All right, so we've got regular feedback and development opportunities contribute to higher levels of employee engagement. Regular feedback and development opportunities.
Yeah, I'm big on feedback, so yes.
Fact. All right, let's see our audience. Ooh, I think we're catching on, you guys. Audience is going quick. All right, it looks like 100% results agree with you. It is fact. You guys are correct. Fact. So regular feedback and development opportunities. Kim, I heard you said you're big on feedback.
I am, but I'm always trying to learn and grow. That's something that, motivates me. Again, is learning new things. So I always seek feedback from my peers on, identifying my areas of growth. I don't like calling them weaknesses, my areas of growth. And because sometimes I can't find them myself.
Yeah.
So it's great to receive that feedback, because I know, one, I ask someone that I trust, that I know, that I'm open to, and it helps me grow.
Yeah. It's hard to see those blind spots in yourself.
Yes.
Because you know yourself so well. You're so aware of some of your things, but you don't always have that full outside picture.
Right. And I sometimes I struggle with negative self-talk, so I can point out all my areas of growth, right?
Yeah.
But it's amazing to know that sometimes what you may think is an area of growth, someone else doesn't see that, and they might see it as your strength, right? They see you with a different lens than you see yourself.
Yes.
And I think that this one really goes hand in hand with what the last one was talking about with personal growth. And I don't think that it's easy to grow without getting feedback from others.
Right.
And the chat is saying the same thing here as well. Wendy says that everything we do, success or failure, is opportunity for growth. And Natasha, I really like this. She said LinkedIn Learning Workplace, they did a learning report. And she said that it also mirrors the trend, and people desire upskilling opportunities. And all of that comes through feedback.
Right.
All right. You guys ready for our last fact or fiction statement?
We're ready.
All right. So let's see. I am going to stop sharing this one, and we'll get to our last statement. Ready, chat? Ready, audience? All right. Feeling included and valued within the organization does not significantly affect employee engagement. Does not significantly affect.
Fiction, absolutely.
All right. We're holding up fiction here, and we are quick on the jump with this one. All right. It looks like you guys are all correct. I think you got ahead of me. Somebody read the report. Somebody read the report. Yes, that one is fiction. So feeling included and valued is definitely important to impact our employee engagement. Now, I think the title of this webinar, and correct me if I'm wrong, is Owning Your Engagement, is it not?
It is.
So I feel like it might be an important conversation to have about how we can make others feel included and valued as well as ourselves. That might be interesting to talk about and in a little bit. So what do we call that? Foreshadowing? Spoiler alert? We'll get there. All right, you guys. Well, great job on that poll. You guys really know your stuff. Now, question is, if you know your facts and you know your stuff in regards to what the data says, do you know yourself? Are you currently engaged? So that brings us to our next segment, which is our engagement check. Our engagement check. So we want to give you guys the opportunity to go ahead and see, are we currently engaged in the role that you're in? So I have one more poll for you guys, and this one has a few questions at a time. We'll let you take the whole thing at once, but we're going to go ahead and talk about these as you guys are taking this poll.
Right.
So what it'll do is it'll assess where your engagement levels lie right now. So the first question, and Kim and Margaret, we can talk about these together. Do I understand how my role contributes to the overall success of the organization?
So, Margaret, I that's a great question, Tara, and I do have a question for you. Is one, how does your role contribute to the overall success? And was it something that you figured out on your own? Did your manager help you in identifying that for you? Like, how did you come to that?
Yeah, my situation's a little special, and I'm sure some people out there watching in the chat may agree. I just started in this position, so I'm still mapping out what I think my role, how much it contributes to the organization. But right now, my manager has been very clear at defining those, how I contribute, how our team contributes. But also I get to make sense of it a little bit myself. The more and more I learn, the more I take on and work with different people, the more I see, okay, this is helping, and surprises of like how we contribute is the coolest part. I'm like, oh, so that really helped somebody. I would have never realized we were doing that. So I would say it's both. It's important for you to define it for yourself, how you're a part of your agency's overall mission, but also your manager can help you with that.
Yes, I definitely agree. And the mission and vision of your agency can definitely help you with making that connection. Tara, what about you?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that and we got a lot of agreeing in the chat as well. I think that it's important to think about that, and take the time to make those connections for yourself. I know that a few people, everybody's agreeing as well, and some are talking about, well, do others have we all taken the time to look at what our connection is beyond just like my role to others, but how does my connection fall into place with the team? How does it fall? Do my other team members or other members of my organization see where my role plays out? And I think that makes a big difference in how engaged we are with others. Since we already talked about, our camaraderie and our collaboration with others, taking the time to actually figure out how the the interchanging of our roles can actually play together, and what that looks like. So not only do we recognize those connections, but do others in the agency as well? And have we taken the time to really break down that identification so that way we can help each other stay engaged as well?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes a mission statement can seem so lofty and foreign.
It can.
Where you can look in smaller doses and be like, how do I help my coworkers? How do I help my supervisor? And that can even help you to better understand your role or your role in your role.
Great.
I have another one here, and the chat they've been taking this poll for themselves. The fourth question on this poll, it asks, do I have a sense of pride in the work I produce? Do I have a sense of pride in the work I produce? Do you guys have pride in the work you're creating?
Definitely. I am. That's something that I do. I take pride in my work, and I take pride in my work because I love what I do. I love my team. I love my supervisor, and I want to make my whole team proud. I want to make, our agency shine. And so that's why I take pride in the what we produce.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be a little stressful though, because I'm a borderline perfectionist sometimes, and that can be stressful, but I do take pride in what I do. I guess you can tell I love what I do because you can see the sparkle in my eye when I talk about it. You guys can see the sparkle I have. Yeah, right. So, I take pride. What about you, Margaret?
I think that pride is essential. I definitely am starting to take more pride in this role as I get new tasks on my plate. I'm like, ooh, this could be mine. I could really make this something special. But I do think, like I said, pride is essential.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and it looks like the chat is feeling the same way. Let's see. Sheila said, yes, she does because she loves what she does. And if the company can shine, then we're all going to shine.
Yes.
Which is really cool. Let me see. Let's see. I'm going to say Miss Miller Abear. I do not want to butcher your name. I'm so sorry. She says, I love what I do and I love learning new tasks. And so if you guys are feeling this way about this pride with your work, then it does add that engagement. I feel like I do want to give you guys a disclaimer by taking this poll. It is completely anonymous and the results are just for us to get a percentage. I was looking at the no's and the sometimes and I was like, oh, I hope they don't feel attacked. This is for you. This engagement check is for you to identify where am I at. And if you guys are at a place, let's see, we've got most of us have taken this poll. So I'm going to go ahead and end it and share those results for everyone to see, but they are totally anonymous at a percentage. But if you find yourself answering some of these questions and you're in a place where, maybe I don't feel super proud of the work that I'm producing, or maybe I don't have that full connection as to where my role falls in the agency. Those are key they should be, triggers in your brain. That's like, man, I have some ways to go. I have some areas where I can further engage myself in my work. That's what this whole section in the segment is for, is to remind you that we have areas that we can continue to engage in on a longer term basis.
Right. And sometimes we get so caught in our day-to-day tasks. Sometimes we forget, sometimes we don't even know if we're engaged or not. And I think that's why, a lot of you are here, to find those strategies to help you own your own engagement and help find that engagement within.
Absolutely. So, Kim and Margaret, just for you guys, I'll kind of give you a overview of where our chat is at in their polls. So for most of these questions, we've got a large 60 to 80% of people say yes, that they do feel engaged. It's looking like we're doing pretty good across all our questions. But that other 40-30% of people, we've got some sometimes going on where sometimes they feel proud, sometimes they feel a sense of camaraderie, sometimes they feel like they seek out opportunities beyond their job description. I'm with you. Sometimes that's hard. Sometimes that's difficult if you haven't worked with spending time to build relationships, if you haven't worked on, maybe you're overwhelmed with the amount on your plate, that it's hard to seek other opportunities. But those are areas where if you find yourself feeling like you're lacking some engagement, those are areas that we can look into. And the fact that, hey, I already sometimes feel this, that's a great start, a great place to start.
Sometimes is better than never.
I agree.
Yeah.
Right? Very true. With that being said, it is important to keep in mind, actually, for both of you, I've got a few great questions in the chat already that I think would be wonderful for our next segment. So I think you might want to introduce that one before we dive into those questions.
Yes. So now that we've, assessed whether we're engaged or not, I actually have a couple of questions as well as strategies that's going to help you find your engagement within. So our next segment is everyday engagement. So I believe I'm going to start us off with a couple of questions, to help us find that engagement within. And our first question that you might want to sit down and think about is, what tasks or activities do I enjoy doing the most at work? So Margaret, do you have specific tasks or activities that you enjoy doing?
Yes. So my go-to, my entire life task I have enjoyed is anything that interacts with people. I'm sure you're all very surprised by that. So anything that interacts with people. So if I get an opportunity to collaborate with my coworkers, and in this role, I'm finding that can be developing a course together or getting their feedback on what they think of a course, those kind of tasks. I really like the details, which kind of surprised me. So those are the kind of tasks I can lose myself in, is anything involved with people or anything like designing details.
Okay.
What about you?
So I used to be one who, enjoyed, and I still do enjoy interacting with others, but I'm okay. I used to not be okay with doing tasks alone, but now I'm okay with doing those tasks alone. Yeah. But I find that the activities or tasks that I enjoy doing the most is designing. I do find that, I like learning new things. And so I'm constantly reading articles and, trying to touch on that craft. But that's one of my favorite activities. And also, of course, facilitation. I do enjoy, helping others grow and learn as well. Yeah. So what about you, Tara?
Yeah, we're talking about the ones that inspire us most, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Had to make sure. I'm saving up questions for later because the chat is rolling. It's great. As far as tasks that I think inspire me the most, I really like, and you guys are going to laugh at me, I love making things pretty. That's my layman's terms for what we do with graphic design. But I really enjoy when I get to make a PowerPoint that goes along with our training materials. If you guys happen to like the PowerPoint you see on the screen today, it is something I created for this season. I had so much fun doing that, y'all. I don't know what it is, but I can lose so much time just, focusing on details. But the other thing that really inspires me is when I can see that something that I've taught or something that I've shared really set in for somebody, where they felt like, oh yeah, this is something that, I've actually learned something. I can take away something. It's really clicking in their brains. And, in case you guys weren't aware, I do facilitate trainings for civil service. And so when I get to see that happen in one of our classes, it is really cool to see that. It really makes me want to keep going and keep getting better at what I do.
Right.
Definitely.
Another question I have for you guys is, tell me what aspects of your job you find most fulfilling or meaningful.
Yeah, and I think Tara actually touched on that when she made the greatest point of that, when you can see that work pay off, especially in training. I had it a little bit in HR, but in training, when you can see somebody has learned something that helps them in their life, that is the most fulfilling.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the same for me too. When I get an email from someone who's taken my class and they're like, oh, I tried this and it worked. Thank you so much for helping me. Or this was so informative. I learned so much and I'm going to apply it. That's one of the things that I find so rewarding in my job is, touching lives one day at a time, right?
Every time somebody sends you one of those emails, you get an additional sparkle in your eye.
I get an additional sparkle or twinkle.
I do want to interject here. So for those of you seeing the document I just posted in the chat, that document is exactly the questions we're covering today, plus a few more. So those questions that are trying to figure out, like, what engages you? Take that document, download it. You can take this to be able to go through and answer these for yourself. You can download it straight from the chat. I'll put it in there a few times so you don't miss it. And I'd also like to add some of the things that inspire some of those from the chat, if you don't mind.
I would love that.
I don't mind. Let's see. We've got a fellow trainer in the group. Somebody says that I say somebody, it's Heather. Heather said that she loves creating and updating training. Sheila says that she loves the challenge and new things that come to her office so she can help other coworkers. Let's see. Okay. Keegan says their unit does a professional development training every month in their unit. And all of those are really helpful. Ooh, I like this one from Ruby as well. She enjoys finding or helping to find a workable solution to problems that creep up from time to time. She's a big problem solver.
I like that.
Okay, I like where you guys are going. And Karanda is fulfilled when she is able to assist someone in a situation where they are very appreciated.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, definitely. Man, these are some good ones, you guys. So we already are getting a sense of what engages and motivates us.
I have some more questions for you guys. You're
not
on the hook. All right. What tasks or activities do you find yourself losing track of time while doing?
Yeah, this one, I can lose myself in a conversation with a person. So that's definitely a task and sometimes it should be about work normally, because I do love to talk shop. So like if we can talk about just ways to improve things and collaborate, that's one of those opportunities where I can really get lost and get sucked into the conversation.
Right.
What about you?
In designing.
Yeah.
One of the tasks or activities I love to do is also one that I spend the most time on.
Yeah.
I think part of it is because, I'm always researching and I'm like, ooh, this would be great. Ooh, I can do this. And then I wind up taking longer than I should. So, that's one of the activities I might spend a little. That's why my supervisor gives me deadlines. Okay. What about you, Sarah?
Which ones that are I'm sorry.
That's okay. What tasks or activities do you find yourself losing track of time while doing?
Well, apparently it's reading the chat with you guys. I was like, oh, we've got so many good things. I do. I lose track of time in my work a lot because I just get so into it. Like I said, I love creating and designing things, just like you can. So I lose all track of time when I'm focusing in on details. I also lose track of time when I am in a really creative mode. One of my favorite things to do with our team is to sit down and really get into a creative brainstorming session together, whether it's updating our trainings, whether it's ideas for a new class, whether there's a problem going on and we're trying to solve it. But if we are all together, like brainstorming, a meeting that, maybe 2 hours long, I'll look up and that 2 hours went by in 5 minutes. So I lose track with working with others quite a bit. Let's see. Jillian says that she gets lost in reading and researching things and professional development.
Yeah,
right.
We have a few of those that if we don't put like a time limit on our research, then they will keep researching forever. Let's see. Oh, there's quite a few. Actually, there's 3 or 4 people in here that's research as well that they lose time. Kudos to y'all, because it's not me. It's not me. Others like helping them solve problems. Ooh, Karana says when planning employee activities, she loses track of time. So you might really you get involved whenever planning stuff for other people. That's exciting. Let's see. Oh, research. Oh gosh, we are like 10 people that lose time with research, and a few people with conversations with others, some collaborators in here for sure. Okay. Yeah, some really great ones. All right, what other questions do you have, Ken?
I have 2 more for you guys. So tell me, what projects or tasks have you been most proud of completing?
Well, since I'm going to use this as a crutch again, since I'm so new in this role, I haven't yet completed anything. But one of the things I'm very proud of is that I was invited to be on Success Series today.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a really special thing. So I'm going to use that one as mine.
It's completed projects, and you give a presentation for your team meeting.
That is
So
true.
you completed a lot.
I'm thinking end goal finish, like web-based, of course. But you're right. I did have a very fun presentation that I was very proud to put together.
Yes.
What about you?
We're very proud of you. And so I guess one of the projects or tasks that I'm most proud of completing, I guess, is definitely Success Series. Of course, I really enjoy doing this. Tara and I get excited every time an episode, and I know you get excited every time an episode. We're about to record an episode. It's really hard to pinpoint everything that because again, I really love what I do. I hate to sound corny, but I really do. I love what I do. So I get excited for any task that, falls in my lap. Except spreadsheets. Womp womp. I don't like spreadsheets.
Your spreadsheets are my SOPs. I am not an SOP fan. But the one that I am, let's see, what's the project that I'm most proud of recently?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let me see. Man, there's so many. I've got to say I was really proud. I know we have a few of us, so shout out to those in the chat that are part of our professional trainer cohort this year.
Mm-hmm.
I recently taught a class on graphic design, and we went through PowerPoint and graphic design, and I think I was really proud about launching that class and teaching it, and getting to help others make their presentations look pretty. I keep saying pretty. I keep going into my my pretty PowerPoints, but I think teaching that class and getting to work with other trainers and being able to help others like create things that they love was really something that I was really excited about, really proud of recently, for sure. All right, and shout out to Julie in the chat. She is answering all of these questions that are coming through. So thank you for that. But a lot of people are asking about professional training and asking about how they can be a part of development opportunities. And this webinar, you guys are in a great start being with us here today. We have the link to our YouTube page in the chat. And we also have a lot of people who are, there's some people arguing with us about spreadsheets. They love spreadsheets. I think we are a spreadsheet feeling.
There's a need for that.
There is definitely a need for spreadsheets.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's why we need you and not us. Let's see. Oh, something that they are proud of. Let's see. Christine, their section just created their first quarterly newsletter. She's pretty proud of that.
Oh, that's amazing.
I love their newsletter. Good for y'all. Let's see. We've got Keegan, professional development trainings. They're a brand new unit, so they're setting the foundation for that. We're on a professional development train here, y'all. Tasha, building a better connection to employees as HR, and that they are working on being more open and getting rid of the stigma that HR has had. And so she's working on that with her team, which I think is awesome. Really cool. Really cool stuff going here, guys. I like it. All right. Oh, let's see. Benjamin. Okay, Benjamin. Benjamin finds great satisfaction in the process of finalizing new community partnerships for his role. So he works with the community and their agency and creates those partnerships, which I think is really
that's amazing.
It's really cool. All right, and everybody's liking spreadsheets. Man, are we not
opening up a can of worms?
We sure did.
So sorry. Spreadsheets are great. One more question. Actually, two more. I'm sorry. What opportunities of learning, growth, and development excite you the most?
I can absolutely take this one because this role the whole thing is an opportunity to develop and learn because it's from the ground up. I don't have, instructional design experience, so I really get to fiddle around with all those softwares and figure stuff out. So I'm most excited to just be in this role and learning everything.
Right.
What about you, Kim?
The opportunities for learning, growth, and development that excite me the most is that I'm always learning something new from my coworkers. My team is amazing. And the great thing about us is that we all had different strengths. And so, Tara's our tech person, any tech needs, I go to her for her to teach me how to do things. We actually just recently learned Teams, and Tara and Christy have been helping me with that. But we all band together and help each other grow in the areas that we need to grow.
Yeah.
And so, that's what excites me the most when we, teach each other. What about you, Tara?
You keep stealing my answers, Kim. This is what happens whenever we have such a great team. We learn so much from each other. But I think one of my other big opportunities that gets me excited for learning and growing is anytime I get to work with other people from other agencies. I think, even just learning from y'all in the chat more about what you do and the things that you are working on, as well as anytime you guys are in any one of my classes and I get to talk to you and learn your experiences, I learn so much more about the state of Louisiana and what makes us run. And I feel like every time I teach a class, I learn about a new job that I didn't know existed. One of them was a couple weeks ago. I think there's somebody whose entire job is just to inspect eggs at I think it's Ag and Forestry, maybe. I'm making that up. But I feel like I get to learn so much about our state and the important things that you guys do day in and day out. And I get so excited for those learning opportunities. Definitely just talking to people across our whole state. Let's see. Ooh, we've got a few in the chat as well. Ruby is like, hey, I don't have just any opportunity to develop and learn.
Yeah, me too.
Is it? Yep.
Spoken like a true problem solver.
Absolutely. Regina gets excited when she is building partnerships and contributing towards a bigger goal. So the learning and growing in the process, not even just the smaller one, but when there's a bigger goal. I'm with you there. I think that's so fun when we're outside of just the small, confined spaces to, those overarching situations. And Garrett shares that he likes learning and working with other coworkers in other organizations. Shout out to ATD. He did a whole shout out. ATD is the Association for Talent Development. It's a professional organization that all of us trainers are involved in. And I see we've got a few trainers in the chat. Cough, cough, shameless promo. Come join our organization. But he said the same thing. Class attendees, any time else that you get to learn from other professionals. I'm with you there too. Absolutely. Okay. What other questions do you have for us?
Well, I have, I think I have maybe one more. I guess let's ask, what values are most important to you in your life?
The values that are most, I assume you're asking me.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, Margaret. No, I'm just any opportunity to chat. But yeah, the values that are most important to me are just making people feel like they belong.
Yes.
Any opportunity I can do that, because I appreciate that so much when people go out of their way to do that for me, that I'm like, if I can find that path and really help somebody to belong, that's a really important value to me. What about you?
I would agree with you in my sense of belonging. I am big on workplace culture and team camaraderie, and I try to make sure that I'm inclusive and that I'm, working with everyone and making everyone feel like they're part of a team.
Yeah.
And I think something else in one of the values in my work is initiative. Taking initiative. Not waiting around and trying to help in my department shining.
Yes.
I think that's what I love. Tara?
I'm with you. I definitely think a lot of mine is independence. I think one of my values just as a human being, personal and professional life, has always been independence. I like to be able to do things on my own. I like to, be able to get to that next level. And so being able to do things at work is really a big value for me because, it means like I keep learning and I keep growing so I can be independent and contribute to my team. But with that independence is for me really big inclusion and connectivity to others. I want to be able to be independent in the work I do so that way I can contribute, but with a whole team. Like I want to contribute to others and stay connected to my coworkers. Like I said, I love when we get lost in our brainstorming and our problem solving meetings. And I want others to feel included as well. If you knew me, those of you, I've met quite a few of you in this chat. I'm always the one going around. Hey, we're going to lunch. You coming? Hey, you want to go do this? Hey, I'm going to be over there. So I always want to make sure everyone feels like they belong in the space that we're in. And we all appreciate that independent value that everybody brings to that table.
Right.
And we have a lot of, we've got some really good ones in here as well. Let's see. Ruby and Jennifer bring in respect as well as a good one. Respect as a value and inclusion. Let's see. Definitely respect and inclusion. Looks like a lot of us are with that. Benjamin said dignity and worth of the person, recognizing the inherent value and uniqueness of the individual.
Yes.
Took my, that's the words I was searching for, but exactly. Let's see. Everyone has a voice that's heard, came from Annie. Let's see. Respect for others' opinions. Mariah said demonstrating appreciation for one another. Michelle, fostering relationships that make the team better, whether that's client relationships or their coworkers. Christine loves opportunities for growth and collaboration. So many values. You guys, these values are the ones that can help us take what engages us and identify that and actually leap into that ownership of our own engagement. It can help us push into hey, this is what I need to pay attention to, so that way I can then take a little more control and responsibility for my engagement. These are real good, y'all.
Right. I really love the self-assessments or the questions to ask yourselves, because even though I've been working, we've been working for a couple of months now, and Tara and I have been working for quite some time. I still learn a lot about my coworkers, through these exercises. So thank you guys for sharing. And so thank all of you for sharing. And with that being said, now that you guys have done some self-reflection, now it's time for us to identify, okay, what particular strategies can we use in order to own our own engagement? And we're going to start with our first strategy, and that's setting a clear goal, making sure that we define a goal and and that it's achievable goals that you can set for yourself. And so we were actually kind of talking about, making sure that, we're setting those clear goals. And, when I set goals for myself, I like to have an accountability partner, especially if it's a weight loss goal. That's beside the point. But when I'm setting those goals, I like to have an accountability partner. So I usually, talk with someone to help me hold myself accountable so that I'm able to achieve those goals.
Yes.
Are you great with goal setting?
I wouldn't say I'm great with goal setting. Maybe I'm great with goal setting, less great with goal achieving.
Right.
But it's funny because what works for Kim, that accountability partner, isn't always the best for me. Sometimes I'm the hardest on myself. So I just need to do some self-talk and be like, what am I doing? But I know people always talk about those SMART goals. That's kind of a buzzword right now. And I always forget what SMART stands for, but it's specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. And I actually recently took the CPTP course in Success Factors to see if I can better not only set those goals, but meet those goals. So
those CPT courses are great. CPTP courses, they're great.
Yeah. I wonder who designs those.
Right. Tara, what about you?
For setting goals, I'm with you. I definitely have to make sure that they are SMART, and I have to give myself a deadline, y'all, because I am a serial procrastinator. It's horrible, but I am. And so that's how I've learned to get around that, manage that, is by I set smaller timelines for my goals than what the actual timelines are, because it forces me to get into this mode of, it's time to get this done. It's time to actually, reach those goals. And if I can set those smaller goals with smaller timelines, it makes reaching those big goals so much easier. Absolutely.
All right. Our second strategy. It's one for you, Margaret. Making sure that you're actively seeking feedback, not only from your manager, but from your colleagues as well.
Yeah.
And so, first of all, I guess I want to ask you, what made you seek the feedback from your colleagues? And was it your colleagues, your manager? Because I know you said that that's something that you actively do.
Yes, I seek feedback from anybody who's willing to give it to me. So, and I think seeking feedback is so important to me because it really helps you to, like I said earlier, catch those blind spots.
Right.
What am I doing that or not doing that can help and contribute to the team? Like, how can I be better? Help me to help you, kind of thing. But actually, in the book Radical Candor, have you read that? I listened to about half of it, but Kim Scott talks about how to seek feedback and how to set up those opportunities to get feedback. And she says after a meeting, if you can just stay 5 minutes and have a go-to question to ask your supervisor, who I would imagine was in the meeting, and you'll ask that question to your supervisor. And it's kind of like the, what do I do that helps the team, or what could I do that helps the team? What should I stop doing? I really think just asking those questions is very important. And she goes into a lot more detail, obviously. But I think it's important to seek feedback and get it for yourself, kind of owning that feedback like you own your engagement.
Right.
Yeah.
Sarah, what about you? Do you actively seek feedback?
I do. And it was hard for me at first. Like I said, I really like to be independent. I like to be that person that's on my own, on my own train. But I have learned that I really need to take the time to see what others think, what they have to say, even if it's positive feedback. I was one of those people, I didn't know how to take positive feedback. I would just say, look at them awkward, or I would try to negate it. But I've learned to just say thank you and like actually accept it.
Yes.
And that's something that is quite a bit difficult for me. But without that feedback, how can you really be sure if you're on the right track, or how to improve if you're not?
So our next one is taking initiative. Making sure that you don't wait for the opportunity to come to you, that you seize the moment and you take that initiative and take care of whatever needs to be done. Like you're actively seeking new challenges, you're actively seeking projects, things of that nature. And that's something that I really try to actively do is, if I am feeling bored, I'll have that conversation, with my supervisor, and I say, hey, not that I like to learn new things. And so I need something, to give me that spark. And so she'll say, okay, well, here's this project and go ahead and take care of that. And so, I'm constantly trying to actively seek out challenges, seek out new information and sharing it, with the rest of my group. So that, taking initiative is something that's really important to me.
So I've got a question from the audience, and this actually came way earlier. So I told you guys I was writing down your question. Julia had asked on any tips on how to inspire those that you work with to be more collaborative. And I think that definitely goes into that question about, how do we take initiative to do that? What does that look like?
That's a great question.
Yeah, it was a great question, Julia.
So how do we take initiative in helping our coworkers be more collaborative?
Yep. Helping ourselves and our coworkers.
Part of me feels like it's just providing the opportunity. So just asking their opinion, which I know kind of falls into the feedback thing, but also just starting that conversation, beginning that opportunity, and also knowing your coworkers. Some coworkers want to collaborate less than us three extroverts.
Right. I think that's a great strategy. It's just to have that conversation, to ask them questions, because even asking them questions about the project is collaborating, right? Getting your feedback on what's going, on what we're doing. Yeah. So that's great advice.
And I was actually just thinking about it. I think that's exactly what our Q2 episode is on. So hang out with us in June and you get some more answers to your question, Julia. Thank you guys. Kim, what's our next strategy?
Maintaining work. I got excited right there. Maintaining work-life balance, because I'm a firm believer on work-life balance. As a matter of fact, Margaret and I were just talking, and I was like, hey, there's two things I might tell on you about. And that's one, if you're working off the clock, and two, if you're not taking your vacation. I'm a firm believer in, maintaining a healthy mind, and being, taking care of yourself, right? And so, work-life balance is important to me.
Yeah. And I know work-life balance, it sounds sometimes like a lofty goal. You're like, how can I do a better work-life balance? But I've seen these things recently just on podcasts or different things, and it talks about calendar blocking for free time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a weekend off, calendar block that you're going to lay on the couch for 2 hours or that you're going to go have coffee with somebody. That way that time is already accounted for in your mind. Okay, that's a schedule on my appointment, or that's an appointment on my schedule. I'm not going to do work or whatever it may be, or clean the house, just take that time to take care of yourself.
Right. And if you want to learn more on work-life balance, we have a wonderful success series on that as well. And our last one that we want to talk about is making sure that you're celebrating achievements. Margaret, how do you celebrate your achievements, whether big or small?
Okay. So I celebrate my achievements. I'm a happy dancer, so I definitely do a little bit of raise the roof. But also I've listened to this recently, and it was talking about a book, The Progress Principle. And it was saying that at the end of every day, you should write down one sentence, and it's just, today I progressed on this. Because then you can look back and be like, okay, well, I worked on this and I finally got that project done. Like, look how long and hard I worked and I got it done. And then you can have the big celebration. At the end of the day, when you write the sentences, the little happy day.
Right. And I like that too, to also help, because, when, your supervisor says, okay, what were your successes this year?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I remember. That's another great, little tool to have in order to be able to, identify. And I had an amazing year, right? An amazing year. Yes, Tara?
So I think this is why I really wanted you guys to engage with that first chat before the show even got started. What successes or achievements have you done this year, to make sure we celebrate those, make sure that keeps us engaged, because it's so easy to forget the good things. And Pamela asked a question also a lot earlier in the show and said, how do we maintain the engagement and pride when it does not appear appreciated from others? And here's the thing, Pamela, and with all of us, we can appreciate our own engagement. We can celebrate our own achievements. We can celebrate our own success. And if that means, giving yourself a little treat, I'm one of those, I love a treat myself. Treat myself if, I did something really good at work. Maybe I'll give myself, allow myself to take that extra hour off or that extra day off if I need it. Or I might go buy myself an extra coffee or something that's going to, make me feel happy and proud of myself. And maybe sometimes it's bragging on myself with one of my coworkers that I love. Celebrating my own success and achievements, and making sure that we take the time to do that can help as well, for sure. So really a great list of strategies, Kim. Thank you for those. And I do want to pop up, there are more strategies, y'all. There's so many engagement strategies out there. We've got 3 more that we really want to talk about, but they are coming in our next episode. So if you guys can see our next episode in June, we're going to be talking about assessing your influence and how you can grow that, your own engagement, how you can assess that, how you can influence that with those around you, no matter your position, no matter your role. Quarter 3, we're talking about continuously learning and developing. I know you guys were so excited about professional development in this chat, so you won't want to miss out. Quarter 3, which will be in September. And finally, quarter 4, we will talk about the strategies of how we can build strong relationships with our coworkers and build up that camaraderie. I saw a few of you guys asking those questions in the chat, so it's coming. I promise.
And if you want to learn more about engagement, this brings us to our next segment, which is shareables. We have some great additional resources that you guys can read or watch in regards to engagement. One of them is a Gallup.com article, and it's what I love about this article is it gave you 4 levels of employee engagement, and it's 4 questions. How do I grow? Do I belong? What do I give? And what do I get? And so I thought those are great questions for you to ask yourself and answer in order to identify your level of engagement. Margaret, I believe you have a shareable.
I do. And I was going to say, these shareables are for all those researchers in the chat. You can do a full deep dive. But we actually found this wonderful book, and Tara's going to share a snippet of the book. But it's I Engage, and then it's your personal engagement roadmap, and it's by Bob Keller. And I read some of it, and it was very interesting because it talks about owning your own engagement and how you can be in charge of your engagement instead of waiting for your manager or your supervisor. So all you researchers, it's a good one.
It really is. And that excerpt is just, I believe, 12 pages long. So I put that in the chat. You can get it there. And it might just prompt you to get the whole book. I don't know. We'll see. And our last engagement, our last shareable for this topic is a GovEd talk that was done by Thomas Dobrny. Please, I'm sorry, I butcher names. I apologize, you guys. It is a talk that he did on igniting your self-driven engagement. So it is definitely driven towards government employees. And if you've got an extra hour to spare, he gets really into those statistics and all that data that you guys seem to love so much. So take some time, take a look at that. It is a really good talk. So some really great shareables, y'all. It seems like this is a topic that we love. So get a little nerdy with us. Go ahead and take a look at those shareables. And in the meantime, I think it's about time for us to wrap up, which is our last segment. So if you guys will join us real quick for a mindful minute where we close out our show and we share a little bit about some takeaways from our show. So I guess I'll get us started with that one. And my takeaway is that you guys are all in on your own engagement. I didn't realize that you guys would be so excited about this topic, which excites me because that's what we framed our entire season around. So we're definitely doing that. And I'm really excited about the talks that, hey, we know we can take responsibility for our own engagement and how we can grow and develop, and the fact that we're ready and we are, strapping in. You guys are on this train with us. That's really exciting for me. What about you, Margaret? What's your mindful minute?
My mindful minute would be, one, that the chat is very engaged. And then 2, it would also be that you can own your engagement. Yes. I've really enjoyed this conversation and just reflecting that you don't have to wait for somebody else to make sure you're engaged or offer you some kind of incentive. Like, you can really check in with yourself and start grinding those gears and seeing what works to keep you in it and fulfilled.
Right. Okay. And I think what I've learned is that, everybody's engagement is different. And so all of the strategies that we provided, taking the time to do some self-assessment to figure out what engages you and, making it your own, like Margaret said. So I really hope that you guys found some great strategies and that you're out there to tackle the world and be engaged. And so please join us on June 11th, you guys. You remember Tara kind of talks about that. Join us on June 11th, where we talk about elevating your influence. It's going to be a great show, and we hope to see you there. So thank you so much for joining us today, you guys. We hope that you continue to keep on learning. See you next time.
Bye.